Hari Om.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. So today we thought we would share some Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Today we thought we would share some thoughts about the Param Pujya Swami Satchidananda Ji, whose 101st. Can you hear now? Tomorrow is Pujya Swamiji's 101st Jayanti day. Actually, we always repeat this, that there is no Jayanti day or Samadhi day for Mahatmas, but we sadhakas need some occasion, some dates to remember intensely. Otherwise, in our vyavaharic dealings, we may not be that intense. Just like when we decide to go to a particular place, 10 days or 15 days back, ahead of it, you will start thinking about going to that place, what we are going to see, what we are going to attain, what we are going to seek out. Similarly, especially ashram devotees, when they think about November, they remember Pujya Swamiji's Jayanti day. December means Param Pujya Papa's Sannyas day. February means Param Pujya Mataji's Samadhi day. April means Param Pujya Papa's Jayanti day. September means Param Pujya Mataji's Jayanti day. Like that, October means Param Pujya Swamiji's Samadhi day. Again, August or September, Param Pujya Papa Samadhi day. So when we keep on thinking about it, we will be associating unknowingly with that which has attracted and made us closer to us. So similarly, when tomorrow Swamiji's Jayanti day comes, so many thoughts. Each one will have their own concept about Swamiji, about how God made all of us to get in touch with Him, to give a boost to our spiritual practice. Actually, every time Swamiji keeps on reminding this particular aspect. You all know that he doesn't believe, he doesn't like hymns to be, Swamiji to be extolled open. But sometime during 1992, it so happened, one of the devotees, he came and told us that he would like to express something at the time of Bhajan Hall. At the time of Bhajan Hall program. So we said Swamiji doesn't like all those things. So on that particular day morning, we remember, he was there in Swamiji's room at 5 o'clock, and then he, as usually, prostrated. He did not get up. He said, well, say yes. We were telling Swamiji, in that posture, say yes. So he said, what am I to say yes? Say yes now. Then finally, Swamiji is like a childlike behavior. Swamiji finally said yes. And he got up. And he said, I want to express something in the Bhajan Hall at 11:30 today. No, you have told me yes. So that is how he extracted the promise from Swamiji. And then he gave out whatever he felt like. We were all feeling how Swamiji would be feeling embarrassed. So immediately after that, he gave out this reply, a reply message. I will just read it out. All these years, from the time I came to the ashram, all of you have been giving me the best of your love and affection. But today, you have chosen to express the same in words. Words have the knack of exaggerating things when they are backed up by pure love. So there is no wonder I was extolled to the skies that I feel I do not deserve this. Yet, this is a very important word. This is a message he gave us. Yet, your pure love has made you see all these things in me. So I do not blame you. I am only a child of beloved Papa and Mataji. And whatever is said or done by me is only by the guidance and strength given by beloved Papa. So all that you have said should go to beloved Papa. As is my wont, I pass on to beloved Papa all that I get. I keep nothing with me. You all remember when we were taking up In Quest of God, when we came to the point that nothing belongs to us, everything is His, we remember to have shared these words. That means mentally not owning it. Out of love, somebody may be telling us, we do not own it. Suppose we try to practice it, the tangible gain is, even if somebody says which is not to our liking, it will not affect. Because nothing is owned by us. Only when the owning comes, the problem comes. So he says, as is my wont, I pass on to beloved Papa all that I get. I keep nothing with me. This is another message. How to be in the midst of so many things and at the same time remain unaffected. He is giving us a clue. When somebody says something mentally, suppose we pass it on. Papa is seated within us, within him. Papa is testing us. So we don't own it. One day, many years ago, in the course of a talk with Puja Mataji on the subject of love, I confessed to her that my heart was arid and had no real love for others. Swamiji was telling that he was dry. She immediately said, that cannot be. Everyone in the ashram and all devotees of beloved Papa love you. Unless you have love in your heart, you will not get love. Only thing is, you are not expressing in words. That gave me the assurance that I was not after all a dry piece of wood. I prayed to beloved Papa and Mataji. This is the third message he gives to us. As we said, we are not celebrating, We are not praising, or we are not, telling so many good things about Mahatma. What is it that I can take to me? Otherwise, whatever we say, it stays at this surface level. The first thing is, your own love comes out in the form of love for others. That is the first message. Second one was, you don't keep anything for yourself. Now the third one is, I pray to beloved Papa and Mataji that the hearts of all of you that bear such love for me may expand to such an extent as to embrace everyone in the world, irrespective of whether one is good or bad, friend or foe, saint or sinner. Everyone is qualified or entitled to receive our love because everyone is the manifestation of our beloved Papa and he is seated in their hearts. This is the third message. Even if one has done us great harm, let us forgive him and give all our love to him. Let us not forget that the so-called harm that might have been done to us was done by beloved Papa himself for our ultimate good. Test. Thus, without reservation or discrimination, let us love one and all, and let there be no one in the world whom we consider as not deserving our love. When we love one, how happy you feel. So if we love all, what a flood of love will gush forth from our hearts. What an ocean of joy we will be swimming in. When in this way we are able to love all, be sure we will become dearer to beloved Papa and Mataji, and he will not take long to absorb us unto himself. So even in an apparently a session where somebody praises, Swamiji could, because he doesn't own anything, he was able to bring in these dimensions. That our heart should not be limited to one particular saying. We see some Mahatva in the saying. We are supposed to see the Mahatva in everybody. So we have to keep it as an ideal. In our case, we can say, Swamiji, you were able to do it by your satsang, by your tapasya. We all have the same thing, but we have not reached that stage. When we suddenly express our positive remarks about somebody, we don't think that the positivity is there in our heart. When somebody praises us, we feel happy. When somebody condemns us, we feel unhappy. We never knew that we should not own it, because nothing is ours. When we love Mahatmas, adore Mahatmas, we thought that will please them, because it's a joyful thing. But now only we understand that they will be really pleased only when we become broad-hearted. We love everybody. Swamiji doesn't talk much, He doesn't openly say, you are this, you are that. I'll tell you one small incident that had happened when he came to Wayanad, when we were all there. We were working with a Jain, I have already shared with you. He was a highly spiritually oriented person. When we had come here once, he had met Swamiji, that's all. So we were wondering whether Swamiji would remember him. There were a lot of programs. So finally, Jain also came to meet him. We were traveling in another vehicle. We stopped the vehicle. He was following. Immediately he got down from the jeep and rushed towards our vehicle. And then Swamiji also got down. So we said, Swamiji, this is Shantivarma Jain. Oh, Swamiji knows. In Tamil he said, Jain Siriya Kekka Mudiyuma. So how can we forget him, So that means he may not express what all he stood for, it is there in his heart. But he may not like us, he may not say so many good words, But that very look, that very posture, that body language, that was enough. But he carries with him. This is another lesson he taught to us. What is more important is to carry on the theme, to absorb the theme, to assimilate the theme, rather than putting it in some words which normally, I won't say 100%, normally it becomes a lip level exercise. This is another clue he gives. Swamiji's approach to men and matters are based on this, purely based on this. Just like Puja Mataji's door was always open, Swamiji's door was always open. Excepting when somebody wants to have some private discussion about their family, if somebody should hear and should not hear, because they may get unnecessarily prejudiced. At that time only the door is closed. Otherwise everybody is welcome. When one of the devotees, out of his love and dedication to Swamiji, wanted to do a little bit of disciplining in sending the devotees inside the room. So one devotee got offended. Swamiji did not know at all this. But everybody has got free access towards him, So when he came, he said, I will prevent it. He said, nobody will prevent you. She did not, the beauty is, she did not take the other man into task. He appreciated, okay, but don't do that. There is a loving touch by which, he is connected. He is not blaming. Blaming is not there in his dictionary. At that particular moment, he has done it out of his love for Swamiji, or for some discipline, one after another. But at the same time, we should ensure that it doesn't offend anybody. Through small matters, he was giving us profound ideas. I mean, how to bring in this spirituality in Bhakti. When one devotee came inside and was talking for nearly an hour. So, when he got up, we went inside. Swamiji has been sitting for 2.5 hours. So we said, Swamiji, you have to get up and go to toilet, Right. Immediately he got up like a child and then come. Then we asked him, this is too much, Swamiji, 1 hour talk. Then he said, somebody has to unload, and somebody should have the patience to hear. If nobody has got the patience to hear, how will he download his problem? So whether it is going to inconvenience or not, whether there is going to be any tangible gain for the other party or not, when he wants to say something, he knows why he is telling. Somebody is there to hear. Not that for everything that is, there is a relief, there is an answer or a solution. But first and primary thing is, we should be able to hear patiently. That is enough for the devotee. The devotee is not bothered about anything. He is very happy Swamiji gave a patient hearing. That gives him that frees him from a big load of worry. Spirituality in workaday life. The other day we shared, we will again share it because it is very important. When we were all walking in the evening, we used to have one of those days, 5 or 6 or 10 people. We walk up to the Milma and come back. So when we were reaching the arch, at that time arch was not there, our gate, boundary. Someone in our company, not that he meant anything bad, but he immediately commented, today ashram will have a peaceful life because there is no sadhu there. Sadhus were inside in the building called Gokulam, and they used to make some sound. Their behavior is something different. Mostly they are from North India. They are on their yatra. They come, they stay for 2 or 3 days. They will not take part in any program. They will have bath, they will wash their clothes, they will have food, they will have rest. And after 2 or 3 days they will start. It has been Mataji's ardent wish that sadhus should be provided with everything. And whatever they want, that also will be provided, dress or little money or anything. Because Mataji always says, when Papa was on an itinerary yatra, it was all Sadhu Ram who took care of it. So we remember Sadhu Ram when a sadhu comes. This is the background of us. The other person may not know what is background. He was only seeing if the peace and serenity of the ashram is disturbed because of these people. So he said, today ashram will have a peacefulness. Why? There is no sadhu there. Immediately Swamiji turned towards him and then said, what for we are all here? To eat and sleep and stay. We are come here to love all and serve all. Sadhus come here to give us an opportunity to serve them. Immediately, the whole attitude changed. After 2 or 3 days, they will start. They will not take part in any program. Not that he meant anything bad, but he meant the whole attitude changed. our definition of peace or interruption of peace gets changed. When love supersedes everything. There is no blaming. There is no blaming is there. When he says that we should be able to see Papa in everybody, these are all some of the words, methods by which you are showing how to make it expressive. There will be so many tests. They may behave erratically. Reliance on God, he doesn't give any lecture. But those who have been moving with him closely, they get the lesson. Again we have shared, probably we would have shared to you, and we will repeat it again. It was sometime in 89 or 90. Swamiji's extension room was not there. So he was in a small bedroom only. We were sitting. So we all go there in the morning, and then at that time, we had to take dictation. Hardly we have got space to sit. So one person and his daughter came. So when it was reported to Swamiji then asked him to sit in the next room. Then we carried on with our job. Then Sriram Swami came there. He said that there is a problem. Swamiji said yes. He said 5-6 people, one family group, they wanted us to book their tickets. On those days, somebody has to be sent from Ashram to Mangalore for booking. So those were all handled by Sriram Swami. So, Swami said, so what? We need money. They have not sent the money. Swamiji did not utter a word. He waited for a few minutes and went back to his room. No response, So we have, suddenly, somebody came. He said he is leaving at that time. Swamiji said, get the prasad. So prasad was given. At the time of leaving, he left a cover there. He went. Swamiji, without opening, he told us, take 1,000 rupees from that. Call that father and daughter. They were given prasad. Swamiji was inquiring about the marriage date and everything. So we came to know that the marriage is going to be performed further, and this is the love of information. Then after that, when he said, they called Sriram Swami, how much money you want? The 2,500. What is there in the cover? 2,500 was there in the cover. It was given. We were watching it, no? What is it? Two people come, when they sit, he says, ask them to sit. Some need is there for booking the ticket. He kept quiet. Then he carries on with it, his jar. Then somebody offers his love offering, and exactly the love offering needed. The love offering caters to the needs of the time. So we, out of curiosity, we asked, Swamiji, when the father and daughter came, when you asked me to ask them to sit there, did you know that somebody will come here and place a cover? When Sriram Swami came here and asked for your money, you kept quiet. Did you think that somebody will come and keep the love offering? He did not directly answer, but he shared his experience with Papa. He said, many years ago, when Ashram was hard pressed for funds, one Saturday, we have to buy the ration. So we were from Ramana building, he was coming to Bhajan Hall. So Papa was coming out from the Bhajan Hall and walking with his walking stick and as usual the blissful face. So everyone said, yes, Sachidanand, what happened? There is a problem. What problem? We need 100 rupees. What for? To buy ration. What is your cash balance? 2 rupees. First class. And there was no other expression. You were as blissful. Suddenly a young man on those days, there was no ark or anything like that. So from the main road, somebody was running towards Ananda Ashram. He was gasping and he somehow reached. As soon as he saw Papa, he prostrated. He got up. Papa said, "Where are you from?" He said, "I am nearby only. I have been trying to have your darshan. Every time I am busy with something. I am in a far off place. So whenever we pass through, we remember. We must come and have your darshan. Today, luckily, when I was passing through, I saw you. Before you go anywhere, inside or outside, I thought I must meet you and have your darshan." Papa said, "Having come here, you go inside. Spend some time, have your food and then go." No, Papa, I have no time. I just wanted to have your darshan. And God fulfilled my desire. Again he prostrated, left a cover. He went. Papa was standing there. Swamiji took that cover. He got 100 rupees. This is how he answered. Watching this, going through this experience in front of Papa is one thing. We all enjoy, hearing it. But after this, that trust will not be there. But here we saw the trust is fully there. So he was teaching us, not merely hearing or observing it. There should be a continuous effort to translate the same into our very life. There are many, we can keep on listing out. But the thing is, and Swamiji does it silently. After that, he will not make a comment about it. He has shared with us a lot of anecdotes. Not like that. There should be some incident and we should ask something. Then only he will say that. Normally the tendency will be there to share, we all share. But in his case, he is always full. If we want, we have to go and take one glass from that. That he is allowed. So when he says Sthita Prajna, that is another incident. It must have been 96 or 97. When we were taking, somebody wrote to Swamiji, that I have toured many places, seen many people. I am yet to find out a person who corresponds to the Sthita Prajna, detailed in chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. When I met you, I had that feeling. So while dictating, Swamiji said, "Right, I am not a Sthita Prajna. I am still a sadhaka on the path." So then we protested. Swamiji has given us the freedom. Swamiji, you are not telling you are Sthita Prajna. Somebody says, why should you disturb him? Why should you disturb his faith? It is not a bad thing, Then he said, no, people should not be misguided. You are not misguiding, By our telling that you are unnecessarily shaking his faith. Swamiji said, no, even then we should only tell truth. We should not. But we said, we did not type out like that. And we went there for signature, we did not touch the subject. Swamiji looked at us and smiled. Self-effacing is total. So many people may say so many things. He has written, in the God's grace. God? God guides. That It's all a test. He was taking it as a test every time. A true sadhaka and true siddha, As a sadhaka, he shows us this should be your attitude. As a siddha, he keeps up the same balance. So on the eve of his centenary, a small book was brought out, and it was named as The Silent Sage. He doesn't talk much, so it is very difficult to get so many things. But from the limited articles or messages he has given, we were able to cull out and now put it under different heads. An outstanding characteristic of Swamiji was his unique way of conveying practical hints effectively through his exemplary lifestyle and with minimum words. Devotees who had the good fortune of interacting with Swamiji, even for a brief period, experienced a rare warmth and affection, as if they were one with him. His benign and captivating smile easily made one feel at home with him. We remember one incident, it must have been in 2008. Swamiji was moving toward the critical period of his time. He was taken to Mangalore for dialysis. It was Puja Mataji's Jayanti day here. Ashram was full with devotees and Akhand Ramnam was going on. At about 10 o'clock in the night, there was a phone call from Shennai. Shennai was with him. That Swamiji is in a very serious condition, please rush up. Now at that time, if we make it known to everybody, there will be total confusion. Swamiji is in Mangalore. So we ensure that nobody knows about it unless we go and see for ourselves. So silently Unni was informed. We explained to Unni, nobody should know. We opened the gate, just passed away. And Chandu was luckily there, so we called Chandu also. Sundar also was there. When we all got into the vehicle, and Unni must have made us to reach there in 1.5 hours time in Mangalore. And when we reached Mangalore, we spent little time in locating the hospital, because nobody was there to guide us. And somehow we reached. High tensed up, So, to the lift when we reached, Swamiji was there lying. As usual, when we saw him, the same captivating smile. The soothing smile was there. As if nothing had happened. So his benign and captivating smile easily made one feel at home with him. His illumined face emitted grace and peace. The few soft-spoken words that would come forth from his lips would clearly and precisely convey his soothing message. To those who approached him for material help, he would give. He would give and give, readily, freely, lovingly. What his right hand gave, his left hand would not know. To those who sought his advice and guidance on spiritual matters, he always had a clear solution. Explained in the simplest of terms, his surrender to his Guru was total, as is evident from his repeated assertion that beloved Papa's will alone prevailed. In his presence one could learn, what self-effacement is. He lived for others, worked for others, did everything for the happiness of others. He only acted, but never reacted. He only acted, but never reacted. To the sick, he was a doctor. To the broken-hearted, he infused strength and courage. To one and all, he was more than a loving mother, taking care of even their minutest requirements. To ashram workers, he poured out parental affection in abundance. He treated ashram cows on par with the other inmates and was their caring vet. He was profound in all fields of knowledge. When you say the workers, as soon as Swamiji dropped the body and the cremation is to take place in the evening, we were sitting in Ramana room. So many people were asking so many things. One senior worker came there. He was too weak. He had a small packet in his hand. She gave it. He asked, what is this? It is sandalwood priest. Then he said, for all that he gave, we cannot give him anything. So when we were intensely praying, somehow we got it. This is a token of our everything to Swami. He was in tears. He has got a peculiar way of entering into our heart. Something unique. He was profound in all fields of knowledge. At the same time, he maintained a low profile. His childlike look and his radiating love melted the hearts of all those who sought his guidance. He made everyone feel his closeness. Although apparently immersed in so-called administrative activities, like chief executive of a large establishment, Swamiji remained ever cool, calm, unruffled in all conditions and circumstances. He was always reveling in bliss. A simple learning from his life would be that nobody is less important, nobody is more important. Nothing is irrelevant, nothing is insignificant. Devotees coming to the ashram began to feel the presence of Papa and Mataji in Swamiji. Puja Swamiji had thus preserved and carried forward beloved Papa and Mataji's glorious tradition of universal love and service, which remains the bedrock of Ananda Ashram, the abode of Vishnu. So remembering Puja Swamiji's life and teaching cautions us. We have minds to go to reach that stage, but at least an occasion like this Jayanti Day makes us remember and to keep it as an ideal to be reached, that we have not come here for anything else, to translate the classic ideal of universal love and service. Then Papa has given us this wonderful opportunity. Whatever we think, whatever we talk, whatever we do, should conform to this idea. He is gently, by his very life, he gently points out. So remembering him reminds us of the purpose for which we have been drawn. Before we conclude this note, as part of our homage to Puja Swamiji, we wish to share some touching words of Swami Shraddhanand, spoken on the occasion of the Golden Jubilee of Puja Swamiji's dedication to his Guru, Papa and Mother. We still remember, we are reliving those moments. In Panjabadi on the corner there was a raised platform. where Swami Chiranjeev Maharaj was also seated there. The Swamiji was there. You know, in Ashram we don't have any protocol, any welcome address, any, introduction, nothing like that. So how to begin this program? We immediately rushed up to Sriram Swami. You say a few words first. And Sriram Swami went there before the mic. And these words came out, Luckily we had a tape recorder and got a tape. Very touching, very touching. He said, as Swamiji came up the steps of the Panchavati on 26th January 1949, a broad smile lit up Papa's and Mataji's faces, and they welcomed their newest child in their midst. Swamiji turned his back on the world that he had till then called his own, gave himself up, heart, body and soul, to beloved Papa and Mataji in their service. So let us observe this thrice blessed day as a day of thanksgiving to Papa and Mataji for giving us a Satchidananda. A Satchidananda who promises to take us along the path chalked out by beloved Papa and Mataji to the highest goal, eternal happiness. We are thankful to you, Papa. We are thankful to you, Mataji. And in the same humble tone, I would say, we are grateful to you, Puja Swami. These words just came from the heart. And in his reply, in his message, Swami Chiranjeev Maharaj made a very important revelation. That he said, the uniqueness of Satchidananda Swamiji is that he does not even know this stage he has came. When he was telling these words, we were looking at his face, Normally, people will get elated, But the same childlike look, innocent look, it was still there. Even that he has not received it. That much of innocence and child. When we requested Puja Swamiji to give us a message for the souvenir, he said there is no need for any message. Papa Mataji have all given all messages. So we insisted, no, devotees require your message also, Swamiji. So you have to write. So we gave the writing pad and an unruled sheet and the pen. And Swamiji started writing. He will read out those words. My most beloved Purushottam Papa and Mataji, prostrations at your holy feet. 50 years ago this day, your infinite love and compassion brought me to Anandashram and gave me a chance to serve you and your innumerable forms, visiting the ashram from all over the world. You had already blessed me with the holy and all-powerful Ramnam and assured me that I had only to chant the mantra constantly and you will do the rest. Though after a year I wanted to go away for a life of contemplation, you brought me back home, and in your mysterious way you influenced me from within to avoid by your will that instead of a life of contemplation, I should engage myself in your service. Accepting your will as supreme, I was given by you the needed strength and guidance to serve you to the best of my capacity, and I enjoyed this service. Service to you gave me a wider vision and experience that all are my own and kept my mind calm and serene. You showered on me the ambrosia of love through your divine form and also through your thousands of children spread all over the world, and thus drowned me in the ocean of love. May your protecting hand be ever upon my head, blessing me, guiding me and lifting me up until you take me unto yourself. Ever your child, Sachidananda. It is not an ordinary message. It's a very profound message. As sadhakas like us, we should keep on dwelling on it. See, the Guru, my reverence to the Guru is not limited to the particular form. I should engage myself in your service, accepting your will as supreme. I was given by you the needed strength and guidance to serve you to the best of my capacity, and I enjoyed the service. Service to you gave me a wider vision and experience that all are my own. And kept my mind calm and serene. You showered on me the ambrosia of love through your divine form, and also through your thousands of children spread all over the world, and thus drowned me in that ocean of love. There have been many times, when devotees do with all love something, they prepare, they do. After they go, he used to tell us, how am I going to repay back to thee? Somebody might be knowing about the Darshanji also. He was also very rough in outer behavior. But he will also silently do what is necessary. So when Swamiji goes out, he will see to it that everything is kept in an orderly way. Everything should be ready immediately, So we don't have to search for it. Of course, if anybody changes it, he had it. But his love and dedication was full and complete. And Swamiji was telling, when am I going to pay him back? So every time when he was receiving, though he was seeing it as an act of love of Papa, from the individual angle also he was feeling a sense of indebtedness. Not holding on to a tall talk, But from the individual point to an individual like us, how he made us to feel that we should be indebted. The only thing is we may not be able to repay back to the same person. He may not be with us. But we should be able to know that God has given us through so many forms. So we have also to give back in so many forms. That was our Pujya Swamiji's way of teaching. Even this particular letter we have shared with you. It must, totally, handwritten, there must be about 20-21 lines. It was all written in one go, There was nil mistake, nil overwriting, and the space between the lines were even, as if he has written on a ruled sheet. By that, we were watching, we were with him. When we say yoga karmasu kaushalam, dexterity in action, efficiency in action is yoga. We could see that. Whole-souled, mindfully doing, dedicated work. It becomes perfect. So the Swamiji's teachings, we try to understand it through his anecdotes. He was also very strict. Whenever, especially those who are put on upper road, when they cross their Lakshman Rekha, Swamiji shows the displeasure. Not in word, he will not offend them. But it will be conveyed to the truth that it is not proper. It must be, at that time, you must see the struggle going on in Swamiji's mind. Though he knows it is a test for the Vyavaharic world, he has to show the faith. He has to show his displeasure. That is something he will never compromise. Especially a committed sadhu or sannyasi, when he crosses his limit in anything, Swamiji used to be very tough. But even at that time, he will not wound him with any words. But the very facial expression will convey that he is not happy with it. That is another clue he has shown. And even while, in one case this so happened, he called us and said, the other person has come, give him prasad and send him immediately away. And Swamiji went to Bhajan Hall from Square. It was a tough job for us, The person has been loved by everybody here. And he came to know that these are not proper, in the sense normal, the normal form. So we told him, Swamiji wanted you to go back, I'll give you prasad. So that also he taught us. We cannot compromise on certain fundamental things, but even while handling it, we should ensure that hurting is not done. At the same time, we should know. He will make him know somehow. There is no carrying over. Next time if he comes, he will be received with love. But at that particular time, he will show. That means anger will be there, but malice will not. Displeasure will be there, but love remains intact. That is why we used to say, God has blessed us with, whenever when we go back to our life, there have been so many such experience from different sectors. And finally, with Swamiji also, to confirm that this is spirituality. Spirituality is not to be limited to certain rites, certain ways of doing in a particular place, on a particular occasion, in a particular way. No. It has got everything to do with the common run of life. And then we remembered Papa's words. Spirituality that cannot be applied in actual life is no spirituality. God is in the world and acting through everyone. So this should not be forgotten. We may fail, we may forget, but we should not. Because it's the word, spirituality is not to be confined within the four walls of an ashram or a temple, or on an occasion like this, Jayanti Day or Samadhi Day, or on Mahatma. No. Spirituality should enter into every department of life. Papa's words. It should enter into all departments of life. In Dastik Ramdas he says, here he said the word religion. On those days, religion was considered to be spirituality. No? Spirituality should enter into every department of our life. Man is not merely what he appears to be, a bundle of flesh, bones, blood and skin, nor a creature living and acting solely under the impulses and thoughts arising from the mind. We have to recognize that beyond the exterior dynamics of the body and mind, there is within man the spirit which is immortal. It is by the power of the spirit that our life is activated in its manifold expressions. Anything connected with spirit is spiritual. In the classroom, hospital, office, marketplace, factory and field, as well as in temple, churches and mosques, we should tune ourselves with the Spirit. Divine thoughts and feelings should permeate. So this is what, this is a lesson, Nice to hear, but nice to observe. When we see all these things are actualized in somebody's life. So Swamiji's life was teaching us how to see spirituality in workaday life. As you all know, Anand Ashram is not limited to some ritual or some discourse or some sloga writing, nothing. It is very much with all the routine activities which normally we get outside. All. Here visitors come, petitioners come, people come to spend their holidays. So many. Bhaktas are there, wages are to be paid. So many. Statutory obligations are there. So everything is same. But at the same time, there will be such a spirituality. There should be, but in Papa Mataji Swamiji's life, we find it was quite conspicuous. So we people, we sadhakas, should try to dwell on these. Their life is not for energizing, praising them. Their life is praised before us to get this authentication. It is possible to bring it down in the ordinary common run of life. We call it as challenges or duties or obligations or commitments, whatever it may be. The same thing is here also there. But at the same time, there will be a different touch. It is not purely viewed from the individual standpoint. It is viewed from spiritual standpoint. Swamiji reminds us of so many incidents come up in our mind. Tomorrow we will try to concentrate more on how he approached his spiritual life. Probably that may give us some more light. So these 2 days we will try to dwell on his inspiring life and mission. On the centenary occasion, we brought up a small book, the experience and the reflections. There we covered the interview he gave to Premananda. Some portions have been called out. And the full interview we are not taken. This is very important because that gives us, the other part. Here he shows us as an ordinary person who has scaled the heights, spiritual heights, and dealing with ordinary problems. Tomorrow we are going to hear a sadhaka and then how he scaled the heights and what was his journey. That will give us some clues. So with that approach we will spend the day tomorrow. Jayantis are for intensely thinking about the life and mission of great saints. Tomorrow should not go just like any other day. Something more on Swami's side, something more on spirituality, something more on our sadhana, something more on our steps to be taken to intensify our sadhana. Because that was also the wish of Puja Swami. In his last letter addressed to all of us, he said, we should become a little more serious in our sadhana. So we remember that word. Though we have not been able to keep up, we still try. At least he has been kind enough to make us remember his words. That means he will take us. He has not left us. If you have forgotten, then you are right, he has left us. But he has not left us. You have to be a little more serious in your sadhana. That word comes again and again and again now. That means Swamiji is watching us, with us, and he will guide us. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Jai Ram, Jai Ram.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. 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 So tomorrow also we are meeting at the same time. Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.